Some people seem to have a hard time finding the line between bullying and teasing, and that line is even harder to find when you're being enabled by those closest to you. That's what's going on in today's first story. G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA. Now if you love today's bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, chug a prawn of the Barbie, and enjoy it. Thank you. Am I the arsehole for allowing my husband to harass my cousin? So my 26 female, husband, 30 male, has fun trolling people and getting under their skin online and WhatsApp. But he's never rude in person, just in the cyber world. It's just his personality. We have this cousin chat, and one cousin, Samuel, 30 male, has always been sensitive to my husband's antics. He did directly tell my husband he doesn't appreciate him making fun of his beliefs, politics, appearance, just for laughs. But my husband continued to do it, and Samuel eventually just took it and remained quiet. We were all at peace for about a year, and my husband continued to make jokes, but Samuel ignored them. My husband made another joke about Samuel when Samuel's wife, AITA, 25 female, stepped in, saying she didn't appreciate us using her husband as a punching bag, and everyone on the chat is rude for not stopping my husband. AITA has always been a hothead. Someone offends somebody else, she always steps in and attacks. She doesn't let people fight their own battles, and it's annoying. So my cousins and I made a private chat talking about how Samuel is too sensitive, and AITA shouldn't be so crazy. Somehow AITA found out about this and messaged me. Here is part of the messages which I want people's opinions. AITA says, "Your husband is rude, but you are worse. You always post messages on Facebook saying, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it. Be kind, love first. But when me and my husband directly say your husband is offending us, you just say it's his personality." Me. It is just his personality. It's your fault you don't understand everyone's relationship. Everyone got along until you came. AITA. What are you talking about? My husband has always disliked your husband. Me. Well, he didn't say anything for a year. It means he's okay with it. It is just you. AITA. Not true, but okay. Let's say it's just me. I'm offended by your husband. You think it's just his personality, right? I'm saying it's hurtful. You could have private messaged me and apologized, or at least asked if I was okay if you cared about peace and kindness so much. Me. I have nothing to apologize for. My husband and I didn't do anything wrong. You just don't understand our dynamics and always try to pick a fight. It went on for a bit, but then AITA eventually let it go. So Reddit, what do you think? Should I have reached out and apologized for my husband's behavior? My family is saying AITA is just crazy and Samuel is just overly sensitive. Now in the comments, Shining Spark says, "You're the asshole and your husband is an asshole." 1. It's not his personality, it's him being an asshole. 2. Samuel wasn't okay with it. He just realized that no one was on his side and decided to take it to keep the peace. 3. AITA is right, your husband is mean. And 4. You both owe AITA and Samuel an apology. I think she's an asshole too. What nice person lets their someone else be harassed and bullied and thinks, "Aw, that's a completely normal personality trait online from their bully. Let's not stick up for the victim, but continue to shower the bully with love and affection through marriage. You're the asshole." No one, but OP is not a nice person. Nice people don't advertise how nice they are. They demonstrate it with their behavior. Only complete assholes feel the need to constantly talk about being nice. Sagery says, "You're the asshole 1,000 times over. I hate it when people act like assholes and then get mad when others are upset by this. It's just his personality. Is not an excuse to bully his cousin, especially after he told your husband he didn't like it. You even called it harass in the title. His wife had every right to stand up for her husband and to call you out on your hypocrisy. You said the cousin didn't fight his own battles, but he tried telling your husband he didn't like it and got made fun of for it, for acting like a mature adult. You and your husband are most definitely the assholes here, and I thank my lucky stars that I'm not related to you. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for removing my baby's earrings immediately after my wife pierced them? My wife and I have a 2-month-old daughter, Alicia. We've been having the piercing debate since before she was born. She comes from a culture where it's the normal thing, but I'm just not comfortable with a painful process like that, and would prefer to wait until she's older so she can choose whether to go through that for herself. While we still hadn't made a decision, my wife went for a day with her family with the baby while I had a few things I needed to sort out. When I got home, the first thing I noticed was that Alicia had a pair of gold studs. I demanded to know what had happened, and she said they decided to make a day of it and just get them done. I felt pure rage and immediately removed the earrings and threw them away. This enraged my wife, and she said removing them was totally disrespectful. She slept in the spare room last night and isn't speaking to me at all. As far as I'm concerned, I did the right thing. She got them pierced without asking me, or more importantly, asking Alicia. So I took them out because our baby doesn't need bits of metal sticking out of her ears. Am I the asshole? Now in the comments, Genji's wife says, not the asshole. I'm of the opinion that a cultural norm that impedes another person's bodily autonomy is not a cultural norm worth following, especially ones that can cause long-term damage. My ears were pierced as a baby, and I really wish they hadn't been. The holes are uneven because my ears grew over time, and one hole is constantly painful and agitated and never heals over. It's likely damaged from the abomination that is a piercing gun. It would have been nice to make the choice myself and be able to go to a proper piercing shop to do so. Instead, I have constant problems from having a piercing gun used on me when I could not consent. Your wife knew your feelings on this and did it behind your back as a better to ask forgiveness than permission move. She can cry about disrespect all she wants, but it was disrespect to you, the child's other parent, to do this behind your back. Especially for something entirely aesthetic with multiple potential downsides if done incorrectly. Your daughter's well-being is more important than her having a shiny rock in her ears. I'm also questioning what the hell kind of place they got her pierced at. 2 months is incredibly young to get piercings done, and chances are it was done with a piercing gun which can cause horrible damage to the ears. I know firsthand, unfortunately. Piercing guns also can't be properly cleaned. They aren't a safe option, period. Your wife needs to put aside her own wants in favor of your child's safety and well-being. And someone replies to that, you've summed this up perfectly. I'm so sorry you've had all these problems with your own piercings. I'm really astounded at all the you're the assholes. There are so many problems that almost always arise from babies having piercings similar to the ones that you have mentioned. I worked in a doctor's reception for a few years, and you saw all sorts, from wonky piercings to kids who needed actual surgery to need them removed. In my opinion, OP is not the asshole. Also, I'm no expert, but won't the piercings just heal now if properly looked after? Without the earrings, they'll close up, and she can just get them re-pierced later on. They probably won't even leave a visible scar based on how quickly he removed them. In the case of OP's daughter, it'll probably heal a bit slower than normal because piercing guns cause some tissue damage from the force, but it will heal. However, I'd be more concerned with infection because piercing guns are pretty much impossible to sterilize, and taking the earrings out leaves her with an open wound in both ears. Best to go check with the doctor on what to keep an eye out for and how to take care of this. Sibylle says, not the asshole. Whether or not anyone here agrees or disagrees with the morality of getting a baby's ears pierced, the problem is that the mum went behind the dad's back about something they couldn't agree on. It was a big deal to the dad. This kind of thing needs 2 yeses to go through. Mum blatantly disregarded dad. That is not a respectful marriage. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for not trying a bite of my mother-in-law's food, even though it's considered rude where they're from? My husband and I went to a dinner party planned by his mother, presumably just as a little get-together. This wasn't the first time I had met them, as we had been married for about a year, but this was the first dinner party I've attended. My husband is Asian/white, and I am African American if that matters. When we get there, everything is going well up until his mother and father announce it's dinner time. So we help set up the plates, and once everyone sits down, my mother-in-law announces she cooked a new dish that she's excited for us to try. My husband's family all sit down to eat, including me. We're about 15 to 20 minutes into the dinner when my mother-in-law taps my shoulder, asking why I haven't made myself a plate yet. I explained to her that I was actually not in the mood to eat, but everything looked delicious. She goes quiet for a second before going on a rant about how she didn't take so long to prepare, grocery shop, cook, and set the meals just for me not to eat any of it. I looked awkwardly to my husband and he just shrugged, clearly fearful of his mum. One of his cousins chimed in to say that the least I could do is take a small bite. It wouldn't hurt. I shook my head, saying my stomach hurt and I would not be forcing myself to eat anything for the sake of anyone's feelings, and that I don't just eat anyone's cooking. Mother-in-law accused me of accusing her of being unclean, to which I said she was taking my words out of context. She then spat some stuff about how I'm not a good wife to my husband since I absolutely refuse to eat Asian cooking, and I'm too American anyways. I didn't say much back. Dinner was pretty awkward after that, and my husband told me that I should have just tried a bite. I told him I hadn't meant to be rude. I was taught by my own mother not to just eat anyone's cooking, and I refused to be forced to eat something I didn't want to eat. Am I the asshole? Edit. Some of you are asking why my mother raised me not to eat just anyone's cooking. Here's the explanation. When I was younger, my mother ate food that some of my father's family prepared, and so did I. Stuff was coming out of both ends for both of us. She never did it again. Now in the comments, Pink Starburst 757 says, "You're the asshole. I don't see how saying I don't eat just anyone's cooking could be anything but an insult. Did you not know food would be served?" I'm wondering, does OP usually go to dinner parties and not eat anything? And is this the first time she's been called out? If OP has a phobia that is keeping her from eating other people's cooking, she needs to explain the situation before the dinner party, and ask if it's okay for her to come and either not eat or bring her own food. Although depending on the group and host, it may be better just to stay home. I don't eat just anyone's cooking is such a poor choice of words. It sounds deliberately snobby and rude to an almost cartoonish degree. I'm having a hard time picturing a real live person saying this in the present day. The implied subtext is, I don't trust you to be hygienic in your kitchen. I trust some people to cook for me, but not you. OP managed to make declining to eat any food like 10 times more rude. If she'd said apologetically that, due to childhood trauma, she pretty much never eats food that isn't cooked in her own kitchen, that would at least make her not eating seem a little bit less like a personal affront. What she said had the opposite effect. Yikes. I hope it was just very clumsy wording on OP's part and not deliberately cruel. You're the asshole, obviously. I really wanted to say not the asshole, but your reasoning of I don't just eat anyone's cooking is a special kind of cringeworthy. I am adamantly against the concept of you must eat the food provided even if you don't like it for the sake of politeness, but damn, your reason for not even tasting the food is that your mother-in-law cooked it. Yeah, that's just rude, mean, cruel, and tactless. You're the asshole. Edit to add, also, are you really expecting us to believe that it is normal in African American culture to not eat food anyone but yourself has prepared? That seems unlikely. Or is it a you thing because your mother-in-law is Asian? Yeah, I was right there on OP for not being the asshole until that sentence too. And as for culture, damn right that's not the way it goes, for the most part at least. I thought they were the asshole the whole way through. Even if you were full from something else, 2 things. You went to a dinner party. Full? You should be expected to eat food when invited to eat food. On top of that, it is just a bite. I hate cheese, and my friend's dad served something with cheese, but I ate about half of it. Wasn't a big fan, but I still ate it. Just eat. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for cancelling a couple of streaming services and telling my wife to get a job if she wants them back? I, 32 male, have been married to my wife, 33 female, for close to 5 years. We have 2 children, 3 male and 1.5 female. When we got married, we both had jobs. However, maybe about a year after we were married, my wife tearfully confessed to me that she was miserable at her job and wanted to quit. She told me that her boss was treating her like garbage and that she woke up every morning wanting to vomit. She legitimately seemed dejected, and so I told her to quit and to find another job where she would be treated better. She quit. I expected her to go out and start looking for something else, but she didn't seem too eager. Whenever I gently brought it up, she responded, "I'm just trying to figure out my next move. Stop pressuring me." Not long after, she got pregnant with our son, and then while he was still very young, she got pregnant with our daughter. A few months after she was born, when I asked my wife what her plans were job-wise, she finally just said, "I don't want to go back to work. You make enough for us to get by. Just let me be a wife and a mother." I told her that I was concerned that I don't actually make enough to give our family as good of a life as I'd like, but she insisted that we can make it work. I have to admit, she's probably a model homemaker and mum. When I wake up for work in the morning, there's always freshly brewed coffee and breakfast waiting for me. The house is always clean, and other than yard work and repairs, I basically don't have to do anything around the house. And she's a great mother to our kids. I'm quite lucky in many ways. However, money is way tighter than I'd like. We are barely saving anything, and I'm not even able to meet my employer's match on my 401k in order to have enough for us to get by. We are living lean, eating beans and rice for dinner a couple times a week, etc. I don't feel as if I signed up for this. We were both working when we got married, and I never thought we'd have to live on just my income. I've tried to talk to her about going back to work, even part-time, to help our financial situation several times, but she just won't hear it. Recently, when I was going through our expenses, I saw that we were signed up for 5 streaming services. I kept Hulu and Netflix because they had more child-based programming for our son and our daughter when she gets a little older, but cancelled HBO and Discovery Plus because they are pretty exclusively for adults. I kept Shudder because it's cheap and I like horror. When I told my wife about it, she got angry and said that I should have talked to her first, that she had shows that she was watching on both of the services that I'd cancelled. I just responded, "Well, get a job and you can pay for them." She hated that. I think it was fair, but she obviously doesn't see it that way. Am I the asshole? Now in the comments, not the asshole, but keep in mind childcare is expensive. If she goes to work, chances are one salary will be eaten up by childcare. And OP replies, "That's a good point. I work a pretty non-traditional schedule, and so would be able to watch the kids while my wife is at work for a good portion of the time. We'd still have to pay for some childcare, but we'd still come out ahead by a good bit. And if she took a part-time job, we should be able to completely maneuver around my schedule." Yeah, 3 and 1.5 is not when I would have this discussion, but if you really have done the math, that helps. This is clearly a conversation that you should be having, but in the planning stages. Having 2 kids with someone when you're not on the same page is not a great plan. Also, you should have at least talked to her before cancelling. You kept the one you liked and didn't let her have time to finish what she was watching. So a little bit of an asshole move, but you need to get on the same page about money. I think the problem here is less about the actual streaming services, though I do get that it's a dick move, but about the actual money and OP's resentment that his wife is not willing to help contribute to the house finances. He doesn't seem to understand that what she does is a lot of work and makes her happy. But she also doesn't seem to understand how tight money is. His built-up resentment spilled out over the fact that his wife was unhappy that he had cancelled some streaming services because she doesn't financially contribute. Eating beans and rice certainly is the driving point to know that money is too tight right now. Kids cannot have beans and rice a couple times a week as their main meal. They won't get the necessary nutrients. Edit, the amount of people saying I'm wrong and that as long as they're adding more vegetables and sauces and this and that, then they're getting nutrients. Well, that isn't the case. We need to run off exactly what OP said. They said just rice and beans. It will sustain you, but these 2 items do not give all of the nutrients a growing child needs. My point stands. Cat Got Your Tongue says, everyone sucks here. Wife sucks for just deciding to perpetually be a stay-at-home parent regardless of what you feel or whether it is in the best interest of the family. You suck for acting like you have sole control of all spending and can use that as leverage to bully her. Both of you need to learn how to make decisions together rather than playing chicken with your lives. I think cancelling these subscriptions isn't nearly the same level as saying, I don't want to work anymore. Edit because some were confused, I meant work like going out to earn money. It's clear that running a household is also work. Also, these decisions are something that you should make together with your partner, not alone. And Midwest Paige Turner says, you're the asshole, but not necessarily for the reasons you think. Also, I'm not ruling on the overall stay-at-home mum thing, as that wasn't your question. Here is the bottom line. You took a shot at services that you had a reasonable expectation that she would miss, on purpose, and probably at least a little because you knew or expected it was important to your wife. You can't make those kinds of financial decisions alone. You were technically partners, even if you both aren't acting like it. To be clear, she had no right to push this on you. But again, I'm ruling on your specific actions here that you are asking us to judge. One thing to consider, albeit temporary, is that small child daycare is ridiculously expensive. On average, in the US, daycare is $210 per week per baby. Let me do that math for you here. For 2 babies, it would be $21,000 per year. And this is indeed the average. Many places are much more expensive. Plus, there would be additional costs that doesn't reflect. Would you go out to lunch at work more at work if you no longer have time to pack a lunch or pick up a to-go coffee? What about your wife? Would she do the same? How about gas and work wardrobe for your wife? Employment itself comes with significant costs here. Can you guys put this conversation on hold for a couple of years or talk about the plan for when the kids are in school? You are at a phase of parenting that is awfully expensive for everyone, and it might make for a happier marriage if you guys talk about concrete future expectations rather than making changes now to irritate each other into compliance. Though I highly recommend considering a vasectomy if you're done having kids after discussing with your wife. For what it's worth, I think you would be shocked at how much your quality of life is reduced if you did have your share at home. All that stuff you don't do is indeed work. Please spend some time reflecting on your dismissal of the work she is doing. In closing, you guys need to talk. Talk lots, talk long, talk honestly. Use empathy and whatever insights you can provide to come up with a shared vision of the future, or else your marriage is probably doomed to be unhappy at best. It seems like many of the respondents here have never stayed home with small children. As a mother of twins, I will tell you, a job is vastly easier than keeping a nice home and raising young kids. I just made that. I just cleaned that. I just cleaned you. I guess I will clean everything up and start over because you honestly don't understand what you just did, and I still need to get calories that hopefully I don't produce into your body. I'm not going to lose my temper because I need to conserve my energy. Bedtime isn't for another 4 hours. My partner won't be back for another 2. I wonder what I should make for supper. I'll start that after I fold the towels. The big report for Friday? I'll proofread it for the 4th time by Wednesday. I just had a conversation with an adult about adult things. Gosh, it's sure nice to start and finish things. I like being able to use my brain. I watched my toddler nephew for the weekend. I decided to randomly start counting the number of times I picked up the same toy and put it away. I stopped at 20 times by lunch, and if I hadn't, either me or another adult would have stepped on them and cursed loudly. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat in the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.